So I'm done with Goldeneye.
What the bloody hell was that?
It's time to talk about Perfect Dark. A lot of people have been telling me it's a better game. I think they might have a point. Maybe. So what's different from Goldeneye? The UI now has this sci-fi aesthetic. Pausing the game is instant, and it doesn't take several years, thank Christ. There's voice acting. The good guys are super British.
Joanna, it's good to see you.
I just don't have the patience for this.
Ah, a star agent.
Hi.
Just leave me alone, would you?
The people look like actual people, and not like that, I guess.
Look at him. Fucking rectangle-headed prick.
Along with reload animations, most weapons have an alternate fire, which I talked about last time, but I really don't think I did it justice. I mean, some of these weapons are fucking crazy. They also fixed the aim on thrown objects. This might not seem like a big deal, but I'm telling you, it's a welcome one. You can now play the campaign in co-op mode together, or you could try counter-op, where the second player plays as an enemy. And overall the game is quite violent, with impalement, blood splattering, and death rattles being pretty common. The mission objectives are also a lot more complicated. But now you can view the briefing in the pause menu, which is helpful, but sometimes the information isn't specific enough. The basic gameplay loop is largely unchanged. Guy sees you, you either shoot him or you hide to draw out his animation. And it feels just as good, if not better than Goldeneye. Because of the voice acting, there are more audio cues to take note of. For example, the enemy's gun might jam, which they call out and become vulnerable. This might seem small, but it's a lifesaver in certain situations. So the game's improved in a lot of ways, but if I'm being honest, I have a bit of a gripe with it. You're going along and everything's great, and suddenly I can feel a Thelma and Louise style cliff somewhere in the distance. Which, yeah, we'll get to that. The game follows Joanna Dark, a secret agent who works for the Carrington Institute. She's a new recruit who has the nickname of Perfect Dark due to her perfect training score, despite the fact that she doesn't have any field experience. Before you begin the story, the game takes you through the Carrington Institute. Here we learn about gadgets, get some intel on the characters, and we get to test out the weapons. It's a nice breather in between missions to just look around, use some gadgets, jam yourself behind the firing room door and torture the guy with knives. The sheer amount of punishment this guy can take. Wow. Before I talk about the campaign, I realized I forgot to talk about Goldeneye multiplayer. Here's my review. It's great. Give the other players the shit controllers with the broken analog stick, go 20 minutes, take power weapons, pick Oddjob with his bullshit hitbox, pick up the RCP-90 and kill everyone. Perfect Dark also has amazing multiplayer. It's honestly much better. There's a ton of different modes, a character creator, which is attached to interchangeable profiles, individual weapons can be selected rather than presets, and you can play with bots that come with a wide range of behaviours. Then there's Challenge Mode, which gives you preset missions played against enemy bots. They start off pretty easy, and then they eventually become fucking impossible. Perfect Dark multiplayer is incredible. It's definitely a big improvement. So I didn't really talk about Goldeneye's story because, well, it's Goldeneye. You just watch the fucking movie, it's great. But Perfect Dark being a new IP, they had to come up with something new. Secret agent Joanna Dark, who works for the Carrington Institute, is sent to rescue Dr. Carroll from an evil corporation called Datadyne. On the way there, she greets the CEO of the company, Cassandra. Joanna then finds an elevator down to the research lab. She picks up some experimental tech on the way, and then she finds Dr. Carroll, who as it turns out is an AI inside a floating laptop. Joanna makes it back to the office building with Dr. Carroll.
Sound the alarm, she's here!
But the alarm is set off, and it wouldn't be a rare FPS game without an escort mission. Oh! It's fucking...
It's so funny.
So she takes Dr. Carroll to the roof and escapes.
Gotta shoot.
You must get the sapient back. We cannot proceed without it.
I know that. I also know who to talk to. Mr. Carrington.
Anyway, Datadyne responds by kidnapping Carrington himself. Joanna is sent in as a fake negotiator with a hidden laptop gun. She kills the Datadyne mercs and then frees Carrington, who has given up Dr. Carroll, but he has a new lead. Joanna goes to Chicago. So we turn the corner and this FBI dude reports us when we defend ourselves. I mean, what kind of institute is Carrington running here? After doing some recon and causing a distraction, she manages to sneak into the G5 building. Once inside the G5 building, Joanna eavesdrops on a meeting with Cassandra, Trent Easton, the director of the NSA, and that blonde guy. Turns out Trent's trying to loan a high-tech sub from the president, so that they can give it to Datadyne. Joanna steals the backup of Dr. Carroll's personality and then escapes. Carrington gives Joanna a new mission, to sneak into Area 51. During the briefing, he straight up tells her that 1, aliens exist, and 2, she needs to rescue one. Fucking aliens. Kinda feel like this came out of nowhere. So Joanna breaks into Area 51, and runs into Jonathan, another Carrington agent, who's known for doing undercover missions, despite the fact that he runs around with the biggest fucking hand cannon I've ever seen. She sneaks into the autopsy lab, where she finds the alien and moves the body next to a hangar. She revives him and the alien introduces himself.
I have a headache. And with a head this big, that's no joke.
I'm Agent Dark, or Joanna if you'd prefer.
Well, Joanna, I'm Protector 1. But you can call me Elvis.
So then we help Elvis escape in his UFO. Carrington then charges Joanna with infiltrating Air Force One, the plane used by the US president. Her mission involves stopping Trent from taking the president hostage. The president denies Trent from loading Pelagic 2, once again, so he attempts Plan B. As the mission begins, Joanna whispers into the microphone.
Now, let's retrieve the evidence.
Which, yeah. Anyway, using her disguise, she finds the president and tells him about Trent's plan. He's an agreeable man. She puts him in the escape pod, and then the plane goes down despite Elvis's best efforts. Somehow she survives the plane crash. She kills the body double of the president, rescues the real president from Trent, and then meets up with Elvis. She finds out why Trent wanted Pelagic 2 in the first place. We also find out that Mr. Blonde is actually an alien in disguise. More aliens. These ones are called Skedar. A race of aliens that are so evil that they decided to mount a machine gun onto the end of a blender. At this point in the story, they've taken over Datadyne for their own means. So now Joanna boards Pelagic 2, the deep-sea submarine. And you know what? Yeah, this level sucks. The game's been amazing up to this point. The office buildings, resorts, streets, warehouses, aeroplanes, science labs. All of these levels have been really good. This one's not. The whole level's a maze of intersections surrounded by doors that lead to more intersections, with guards posted right next to alarms. This whole place is a fucking nightmare. I beat the level, but I couldn't tell you how I did it, or where I was going. To top it off, they give you the neutron bomb, which can be used to fuck up the objective by killing Elvis through the floor. Joanna and Elvis used Pelagic 2 to find a ship. That was, as it turns out, the goal of the Skedar's plan. Manipulate Datadyne, steal Pelagic 2, find the underwater alien ship and use it to destroy Earth. And the Mayans. They really want to help the humans out, because they've been at war with the Skedar for a while. This level is also dog shit. Can you fucking imagine trying to explain this to someone? Yeah, just go down the green corridor into the green passage, down the green footpath, and shoot the green switch, and travel through the green door in the green maze. And that'll activate the green teleporter. I'm not a fan of this level. I need a break. Yeah, that's better. So Joanna finds Dr. Carroll again, who was the key to controlling the deep-sea ship in the first place. She gives him his morality back, and he sacrifices himself to destroy the ship while Joanna and Elvis escape. Back at base, Carrington and Joanna are about to go to a peace conference with the Mayans. But before they leave, Datadyne, who are now completely controlled by the Skedar, storm the Carrington Institute. So Joanna rescues the staff, destroys sensitive files, and disarms a bomb.
That was too close. I nearly had to take them out myself.
Oh shit, he wasn't kidding. He hit him with that Bruce Lee cross kick.
I kicked the shit out of him, man.
Instead of getting back in the ship, Joanna fends off the Skedar and gets knocked out by a crate. Joanna wakes up inside a Skedar prison inside one of their ships, along with Cassandra, the former CEO of Datadyne, who sacrifices herself out of revenge. And now Skedar are the main enemies. You'd think that fighting Skedar would be a nice change of pace, but honestly I hate fighting these guys. The auto aim doesn't feel right, it seems to shoot past their head or in between their legs. And I don't know what their weakness is, but it sure as hell isn't their head. Sometimes I feel like they die almost immediately, other times they can tank hits, which is awful because they generally don't stagger the same way humans do. Joanna meets up with Elvis along with a squad of Mayans. She and Elvis storm the bridge and take over the ship.
That's the first time I've seen another planet from space. It's beautiful.
Nice.
Elvis hijacks a Skedar ship and he urges Joanna to come with him. Elvis then gives Joanna the lowdown on the planet and its significance to the Skedar. So she sets out to destroy their defenses and kill the Skedar leader. So I really don't like fighting Skedar, but this level is not bad. The architecture and the Skedar technology is pretty interesting, and not everything in the level is fucking green. Joanna marks the targets for the mines to destroy. She kills their secret army and then she fights the leader. This boss fight is pretty good. Goldeneye had boss fights, but let's be honest, they were pretty bad. Xenia wields a grenade launcher and an RCP-90, but she can be trivialized by standing across the bridge and just shooting at her. Trevelyan is invincible unless he's standing still, shooting at you. Which leads to this. And that's just silly. And Jaws is bullshit, because he has so much armor that stops him from getting staggered. The Skedar King has a shield that you wear down, and once he takes enough damage, he takes a knee, and the statue above him becomes vulnerable. He's shooting at you with a rocket launcher and sending Skedar to attack you, but once you take out all the pieces, it falls off and impales him. I mean, I rushed this fight, but back in the day it took me and cousin Mike ages to figure out how it was done. So we get some witty Joss Whedon dialogue.
I'd have got out in time if that one hadn't grabbed my foot.
Of course, Joanna, of course.
And we're out. There are bonus levels to unlock as well, like Mr. Blonde's Revenge, where you play as Mr. Blonde. It explains how Cassandra was kidnapped by the Skedar. It's a pretty good level that lets you mess around with the cloaking device. And then there's Mayan SOS, where you play as a Mayan activating a distress signal, which explains how Carrington found them in the first place. The level's kinda rough, because you start out with about a quarter of your health, but you also get the Psychosis gun, which forces enemies to fight on your side. It's a challenging but enjoyable level. And then there's War, which is my least favourite level in the entire game. You play as a Mayan again, fighting an infinite spawn of Skedar. If you want to kill them quick, you have to use the explosive shells from the Phoenix. But just try not to kill your allies, which I guarantee you will happen. It took me 2 hours to beat it, and now I never want to fight a Skedar ever again. You can also unlock the duel by getting medals in the firing range. The duel is 3 back-to-back Western-style duels, with a guard, Jonathan, and then Trent, with his one-hit kill revolver. Yeah, not much to say about this one. It's kinda neat, I guess. So is Perfect Dark a better game than Goldeneye? Yeah, it's got better shooting mechanics, more content, and better multiplayer. But the campaign takes a big fucking nosedive at the halfway point, you gotta admit that. If we're being honest, I'd rather play Goldeneye.
I just don't have the patience for this.